Hello, it is Friday, August 25th, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Friday crossword today, which means we won't have a theme. We're just going to be solving clues, maybe with a bit of punniness or misdirection. That's often how it goes. And this unthemed edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Mitchell Turek, Camtron, Henrik Koskinen, and, as always, the indomitable Showmaster and the incredible Horan family. So thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They do keep this series going. They're sustaining this channel. For that, I am very appreciative. Thank you to them. Thank you to everybody who's a patron of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. Thank you if that includes you. And if you'd like to consider becoming a patron yourself, you can head over to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the link in the description field underneath the video, where, of course, you can also find all of the bonus videos available to patrons that will today gain, of course, the next mini puzzle pseudo speed solve. I solved the last 7 editions of the New York Times mini crossword quickly. So do enjoy that if you're entitled to it. And thank you again to everybody who is a patron. And thank you also if you've subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Please consider doing so if you enjoy these videos. And finally, you can, of course, join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. That friendly chat community is linked in the description field underneath the video. Thanks to everybody who's joined that as well. All right, let's get on to today's crossword. This is an unthemed Friday puzzle, of course, by Raphael Musa, who's constructed half a dozen puzzles for the New York Times, and it was edited, of course, as always, by Will Shortz. So let's start solving, see what's in store for us today. Worst place imaginable. Wow. I don't know. Some sort of hell. I'm not sure. Interesting. Classic shout out. Hi, Mom, maybe? That's a sort of classic thing that is very stereotypically associated with being, I don't know, pictured in televised sports matches, things like that. Let's see. First African-born naturalized citizen in Congress. Oh, that's interesting. Is it Ilhan Omar? I don't know if she's the first, but it would fit. It would fit in. It would fit in the grid. So let's actually see if that. Let's see if that can be confirmed. Creme de la creme. Elites, maybe. It fits. Like Tibet's Potala Palace. Oh, I'm not sure about this. I don't think I have any guesses here. What about these short clues? What ties can get you into for short? Overtimes? Oh, yes, ties pluralized could get you into overtimes. If the game is tied, you could go into overtime. Okay, so there we go. A large one might have more sides, it's more time for this person to be pictured and exclaim their classic shout out. Anyway, a large one might have more sides. A large meal? Right, okay, a large meal might have more side dishes. There we go. Right, so like Tibet's Potala Palace. Is it Lawson? That sounds right. Because you have Lhasa and Lhasa Apso. I mean, it's embarrassing that I don't immediately I don't even think I recognize. I'm going to have to look this up. I wonder if I'll recognize it by sight. But I think this must be the answer. And then worst place imaginable, it is going to be some kind of hell. So Bolt. Do not see what that is. Most populous majority Hispanic county in the U.S. Is it Miami-Dade in Florida? That wouldn't be very surprising. So let's see. Bad mood. You're in a bit of a snit. You're in a bad mood. Okay, this is coming together. I've had to slightly guess on a few things, but it seems like it's working out. Binary, e.g., binary code, ones and zeros used in computing and other contexts. Worst place. Oh, a hellscape. This place is a total hellscape. It's the worst place imaginable. That works to me, I think. Stockpile. Amass. You could amass things, pile them up, stockpile them. Dish flavored with tamarind paste and fish sauce. Is it pad thai? There we go. Which I think was the result of a call to create a kind of national dish. Essentially, it's very, within the last century, it was basically created to engineer a national Thai dish. It's passable. Right, of course you could pass a test. Sorry, it's very obvious. Selling point, a shop, the point at which you sell something. You could sell something in a shop. Sounds reasonable. Really impresses. If she really impresses someone, she awes them. There we go. Embrace something embarrassing. To own it. There we go. Event with no cover charge, perhaps. An open mic, maybe. Open. It could be open something else, but open mic is certainly a very common phrase. You attend and it's free. You don't need to pay a cover charge. Gotta run. I'm late, maybe. What about up here? Let's finish off this area. Small grouse. A snipe, maybe? Swiss chocolate. I mean, I never really thought about this before. Is it the case that snipe and because a grouse is both a bird and also a complaint, and a snipe is both a bird and a kind of little insult or a little bit of rudeness? Is there any linguistic connection between the two kind of verbal meanings of snipe, or is it just a coincidence that this word seems to sort of overlap in two different ways? I don't know. Anyway, Swiss chocolatier. Oh, lint. Oh, I never wrote in snipe. There we go. Okay, like some regions that experience midnight sun. Polar, yeah. You might have, sun all day in a polar region. Providers of some allergy shots. Providers of some allergy shots. Why don't I see what this is? I don't know. I don't seem to. Adage for getting through tough times. Nothing. Not sure. And here we have Converse parts. So that's a brand of this famous shoe brand. So shoes, of course, have soles. So there we go. House channel. Oh, it's it's C-SPAN. This is clever. So this is referring to the U.S. House of Representatives, the legislative body, which is filmed by C-SPAN, which is a cable network in the United States that shows live footage of Congress. So there we go. Which I think is what the C stands for. Or maybe it stands for cable. Oh, I actually don't know. Okay, well, now that I've said I don't know, someone will tell me probably. React to shocking news. Gasps, maybe. Oh, no pain, no gain is the adage for getting through tough times, I suppose. There we go. All right, that's interesting. I think I mainly associate this with not so much getting through tough times, but with needing to push yourself in, maybe an exercise situation or something that has to do with you're almost choosing to go through the pain, whereas getting through tough times is the pain is unavoidable, but you might not necessarily gain from it. Whereas I always understood this to mean you're voluntarily, to some extent, experiencing pain because you know there will be gain, as opposed to you have to go through the pain, but there may or may not be a gain at the other end of it. I don't know. I sort of slightly... I don't think I really interpret this in the way that it's being clued, but maybe that is how it's dominantly used. Anyway, it's on me. My treat. No. Our treat? It's on me. I'm paying is what I assume this means. So, I don't know. I can't think of anything that makes it work. Probably missing something obvious there. Anyway, NFL cornerback Apple, I haven't a clue. Sorry. Pretend to be someone else. Something a lie? Tell a lie? I don't know. Headlines. Shuck it. An oyster? You could shuck an oyster? That sounds right. You could also shuck an ear of corn, but I can't think of any way that would fit. So there we go. And when you see this, we haven't seen this very much recently. When you see this exclamation point in a clue, what it usually means, I mean, it might not mean this, but it generally does. It usually means that the clue is not, as a clues usually are, a definition or synonym of the answer, but rather it's just sort of something you could say about the answer, sometimes in a punny way, but sometimes not. I mean, this isn't particularly a pun. It's just saying that this is something you can shuck. You can shuck the thing, an oyster or an ear of corn, something like that. And in this case, it's an oyster, I think. Opposite of plain. I don't know. Boy, this area is not, I'm not getting it very well, am I? Spice used as a breath freshener. Spice used as a breath freshener. Anise, is that the case? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of spices that fit in here. Rulers divisions, question mark. Eras, maybe? So you read this and it sort of looks like divisions of a ruler split into, inches or centimeters or something. But I think what it means are the divisions of time associated with notable rulers, so different historical eras. I think that's probably what that means. This really does look like treat, doesn't it? Why can't I think what goes at the beginning? I don't know. To pretend to be someone else is to... It does look like something. Oh, live a lie. There we go. There we go. To live a lie, to pretend to be someone else. That makes sense. So Eli Apple, maybe? Boy, that doesn't ring any bells for me at all, but let's see if this works. Headlines. Stars in. Oh, right. Okay, so you could headline a film. Star in a film, that sort of thing. Backs out suddenly. Fails doesn't really make sense. Like something wicked and dark. A sort of sense of humor or something like that, like a wicked, dark sense of humor. I'm not sure. Most common last name in Brazil. Is it Silva? I think that's a fairly common sort of Portuguese language last name. Let's see if that works. Opposite of plain. Rosy? I just don't know what this is. Sorry, I don't know. It does look like Spice uses a breath freshener. Anise, it must be. Okay. So is that... Are there sort of anise flavored or scented breath fresheners? I don't know. I don't really know that I've encountered that very often, but I would believe it's the case. It's on me. I'll treat? Oh, okay. I don't really think of this as being used in that way, but I believe that it is. Like something wicked and dark. Oh, wicked and dark. Is it a candle? Unlit? Wicked, as in the wick of a candle? I think it's unlit, but I'm not 100% sure I'm reading it correctly to understand why. Yeah, okay, I see. Right, you could say that candle is unlit. It's wicked and dark. In other words, it has a wick because candles do, and it's dark because it's unlit. I mean, yeah, it's very clever. It's a bit even further of a reach than most sort of punny New York Times crossword clues, because ordinarily this would then refer directly to the thing in the answer, but it doesn't. It sort of refers to another thing, which could then also be described as this. But I suppose that's fair enough because it's saying it's like something wicked and dark, as opposed to saying it is simply something wicked and dark. Anyway, so opposite of plain, busy, like a busy pattern on, a fabric or something. And then if you back out suddenly, you bail, of course, that's right. You say, she bailed, she didn't show up. All right, certain page with blanks. I'm not sure. Certain page with blanks. Quarters, areas, neighborhoods, that kind of thing. Providers of some allergy shots. Oh, EpiPens. Is that what it is? The kind of auto-injection little pen? I don't know. Is that right? Do those provide allergy shots as well? Mainly associate them with insulin. Let's see if these work. Gas? No, I don't think it is right. Quarters. Gas used in semiconductor chip manufacturing. I don't know. Neon or something? Let's see. I'm worried areas is also incorrect. Certain page with blanks. Heads outside. I don't know. Mulligan, a redo in a game. You could take a mulligan, do it again. So this wasn't this right. This was not areas. Oh, it's abode, as in my quarters, my home, my abode. That could be it. Certain page with blanks. Oh, a Mad Lib. Wow, I haven't seen this in ages. So yeah, that's that's sort of word game where you create a story by asking people for parts of speech like noun, adjective, so on, but you don't know the person being asked is unaware of the context in which they'll be used, and then it produces something funny with young children, usually something dealing heavily with poop. All right, providers of some allergy shots. Yeah, it does look like EpiPens, doesn't it? Heads outside. Oh, porta potties, right? Which I think that's a brand. I think that's a brand of kind of temporary toilet facilities. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's genericized at this point. I don't know. Anyway, a head is a toilet. So there we go. Maker of the world's best-selling flip phone. Oh, Motorola. Right. I remember when that was a huge thing, the Motorola flip phone in the pre-smartphone era. And I think I've seen advertisements recently for a new flip phone. Someone's trying to sort of get that going again. I don't know if it's Motorola. Anyway, it probably isn't. Let's see. Note-taking spot. Note-taking spot, question mark. So maybe something to do with music or I don't know, grades. Nickname that drops Anne. Rose? Roseanne? No, that would drop ANNE. Welcomes. Greets? Yeah, but that's right. Spelling bee feature. Oh, right. So spelling bee being capitalized makes me think it's referring not to the sort of general concept of a spelling bee, a competition, a sort of orthography competition, but rather to the New York Times word game, the spelling bee, which is played on the same website and app as the crossword. So, right, I don't often play the spelling bee, but I do know that one of its features is a pangram. I think it's the case that that every day there is at least one pangram in each spelling bee puzzle, which means at least one word that uses all of the available letters being offered to spell the words in that day's puzzle. So I think that happens at least once each day. Okay, note-taking spot. Oh, an ATM, you take banknotes. Right, that was a meaning of note that didn't pop into my head. So bills of currency. And then places to rub elbows are armrests on a train or a plane or something. Nickname that drops Anne. Norm and Norman. Yes, there we go. Okay. Literally tables. Literally tables. Literally. Oh, mesas. Right. Okay. So literally in the sense that Spanish meaning of mesas is tables, presumably, and because they're they're those architectural features they're flat. They sort of you could describe them as kind of geological tables. All right. Big name in wine. Rossi. What do they make? I don't know. I mean, I've certainly recognized. Do they make the martini vermouth, or am I completely on the wrong track there? Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Flag, yes. If you flag, you tire. You're starting to wear yourself out. Structure in an apse of a church could be its altar. En masse in French means sort of in large numbers. Okay, so I think we've looked at everything over there. What about this? Gas used in semiconductor chip manufacturing. It does look like neon, doesn't it? Must be the answer. I didn't know that, but that's interesting. Extremely close to home. Too soon or too... something like that. Little... I mean, there's certainly many phrases that start with little. Actor Nick with an N and 5 letters. Nick Nolte is an actor. So little... Yeah, I still don't see it. Give credit to, in a way. And blank fries, Krusty Krab menu item. I do not know what Krusty Krab is. It sort of looks like, there's Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. Maybe it's related to that. I don't know. All right, let's keep looking around. Flat-bottomed boat. A scow? Does that work? Let's see. Acquiesce to... Maybe that's wrong. Acquiesce to... Oh, exceed maybe? Maybe this is the answer. Easy. No prob? Maybe? Certain business advisor in brief. Oh, could be a CPA. Certified public accountant. Easy. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay, so maybe that is all right. That was so funny, maybe? Could it be as simple as that? Portmanteau in 2010's fandom. That's vague. Fandom of what? 10 years is a long time for there to be many things of which people were fans. I don't know. Didn't cover for. I could have something wrong here. That wasn't funny? Equally likely, I don't know. Insomniac's accrual. Oh, sleep debt. Right, it is that. Okay. There we go. Good thing I rethought that. So, didn't cover for. Something to on. King or queen, e.g., is a card, a face card, or a chess piece, or a bed size, of course, right. This should have been more obvious there. Portmanteau in 2010's fandom. Right, who are these? Oh, it's, what is his name? Justin Bieber. Beliebers, I think his fans were or are maybe called. Right, there it is, Beliebers. Okay, right. Yeah, fair enough, I guess. He was huge in that decade, so yeah. I guess that clue is sufficient. Oh, and this is an appropriate cross, isn't it? Band whose fans are known as ARMY, which I've learned this from the New York Times crossword. It is the Korean pop band BTS. So there we go. Didn't cover for... I don't see it immediately. Extremely close to home. Too... I don't know why I can't see this, yeah. Oh, too real. That's too real, you could say. Yeah, okay, that you do say that if it's too close to home. I see what they mean. So too sort of emotionally close to home. It's too real. Okay. Give credit to, in a way, to cite. You could cite a source. Give credit to the source in a research project or something else. So Little Rock, that's the name of a town in Arkansas. Was Bill Clinton from Little Rock? I think so. Yeah. Blank fries, Krusty Krab menu item. Kelp fries, I guess. And then didn't cover for... yeah, okay, that makes sense because Tattledon works. Okay, great. So let's check it out. And there it is. That was the Friday crossword. That was a really interesting mix of areas that were very straightforward for me and areas that I found more difficult. And then actually also a fair amount of areas where I sort of was having to slightly go out on a limb. Answers like Ilhan Omar and, well, I was going to say Miami-Dade, but I guess by the time I put that in there, it seemed very straightforward. But that's a very specific answer. And if you weren't familiar, I think Miami-Dade has showed up in the crossword before. And as I said then, and it is true, I really only know this because it was the site of, it was one of several disputed counties, I think in the 2000 presidential election in terms of the vote count. And so it was just in the news so much that even without knowing very much about Miami-Dade County, it was just one of those things that got drilled into the brain of, I think, many people from the U.S. Through pure repetition. And so I just recognized it from that. And because Miami is such a demographically heavily Hispanic area, it just seemed plausible to me that was the answer. But that would be tough if you didn't have a U.S. cultural context, I think. Anyway, let's see. Quite a few sort of compound phrases and things, and sort of portmanteaus and things. So porta potties, Beliebers, Miami-Dade, and then phrases: no pain, no gain, Mad Lib. Let's see, anything else like that? pad thai, so things that are either compound words, phrases, open mic, or relatively recently coined things or brand names. I mean, lots of that going on in this puzzle. Sleep debt, tattled on is a phrase, of course. No prob. Yeah, lots of that in today's puzzle, really. An interesting Friday puzzle. This is the kind of puzzle that I feel as though I have to admit I've never been able to have strong kind of dislikes of crosswords. I know there are people who have really strong opinions about individual crossword puzzles, and they say I really didn't like this one because of these words. I've never really been able to sort of muster that sensation. I'm never really particularly bothered. But this feels like the kind of puzzle I could imagine people having opinions about, just because it has so many it has so many, I guess, sort of phrases that require familiarity to know. I don't really know exactly how to phrase what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I enjoyed it, and there we have it. That was the Friday Puzzle by Rafael Musa, so that was a nice one. And now, let's not waste any more time, because I do have some clues from yesterday's puzzle, and since I didn't do this yesterday, I did want to make a point of having time for it today. So, let's do so. Aaron Spiller explains in VTuber, the V simply stands for virtual. They have a little animated character on the screen in place of a face cam when streaming or making content. I see. Okay, and so as Time Gentleman adds, that's right, they generally use some level of live performance capture, so the digital character mimics their facial movements and they don't have to appear on screen. It's an avatar in a broader sense of the word than the little profile pictures that Chris was thinking of. So yes, there we go. And then finally, another follow-up from Voodoo Person. Chris is right that the tuber part derives from YouTuber, but the term is being used across platforms these days, and naming YouTube in the clue may create an unusable hint or answer pair depending on how strict the editors are feeling that day. Fair enough. And also, I suspect this is my friend Joel, because I recognize that username. So, hi, Joel, if so. All right, let's move on to the next. Here we have two people who commented on the concept of the worst hand in poker being the 7-2. So Rahul Ricky says, 7-2 offsuit is the worst hand. If the 7 and 2 are the same suit, it's not great, but you do still have a chance at a flush. So there you go, five cards of the same suit. And then Brian also adds, with a 7-2 hand, you can't make a straight with only 3 other cards. Right, I see. So with a 7-3 or a 6-2, you could at least in theory have the chance of a straight. That's interesting. And then that same point about the offsuit. And then also adds, you usually hear 7-deuce offsuit altogether as one phrase. All right, Hugh Scott IV explains what is going on with Abner Doubleday and baseball. Abner Doubleday has gone down in myth as the inventor of baseball. In 1908, a group of sports enthusiasts called the Mills Commission tasked itself with discovering the origins of baseball, and they declared Doubleday had invented it, though that has been debunked since. But Doubleday is still often credited by baseball people. He was a military officer and arguably fired the first Union cannon shot at Fort Sumter, kicking off the Civil War. He also had a command at Gettysburg, and that's interesting. I didn't know any of that, so thank you. And then Elliot Goodine says, on your question about whether Je pense donc je suis was originally written in Latin, in fact, Descartes does not say, I think, therefore I am, in the Meditations originally written in Latin, but he does put it that way in another work called Discourse on Method, which was originally published in French. So yes, in French, and I looked this up myself as well because I was curious, and it was even more complicated than I would have assumed. Or maybe not complicated is the right word, but it was more nuanced in the sense that, yes, in Discourse on the Method, Descartes does write the French formulation, je pense donc je suis, but the phrase specifically, cogito ergo sum in Latin, does not actually appear in any work during Descartes' lifetime. It wasn't published in that precise way until the posthumous work, The Source for Truth by Natural Light. It appears in a similar form, ego cogito ergo sum, so with an extra ergo at the beginning, in Principles of Philosophy. Anyway, I wasn't aware that this was such a a nuanced bit of history. But there we have it. And thank you for Elliot Goodine for commenting on it. All right, we'll move on to Pietronis, who explains in German crosswords, there's a convention that umlauts are replaced with their equivalent and an E. So the character, the A with the umlaut character to AE, O to OE, U to UE, and then you have that sort of, I don't remember what it's called, the sharp S or something. It's that character that sort of looks like a B, but is a sort of hissed S in German anyway, that's replaced with two S's. So anyway, Uber would be UEBER. And according to Wikipedia, other languages either ignore or allow diacritical marks, e.g. Spanish crosswords ignore diacritical markings with the exception of the tilde. And Brian Spurrier replies to say, one thing I do know about Spanish is that N and the N tilde are considered two completely separate letters rather than one letter with and without a diacritic. And I think that's basically true of German as well. And most of those letters with diacritics have their own, if you're typing on your phone, they'll actually have their own separate key. All right. Brian Parente says, I missed a clue here. I believe you missed clue 51 across green standard, which resulted in the answer par, referring, of course, to the standard score on a golf course, the standard score to aim for on a golf course. Yes, indeed. I did miss that. I don't remember seeing it at all, so thank you for that. And there we have it. Those were the comments on clues from yesterday's crossword. There were quite a few this time, so thank you, as always, to everybody who left one of those. And I'll be back tomorrow for the Saturday crossword. Another themeless puzzle. Could be trickier than this one, we'll have to see. But it certainly won't have a theme. That is very likely. So do join me for that puzzle. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Friday. Take care.